18 million people have seen this video by Veritasium about actual conspiracies, not conspiracy theories, actual conspiracies, because they exist. This is why conspiracy theories exist, because large organizations, governments, and corporations are trying to manipulate the general population. See, the thing about large groups is they need to keep growing just like the rest of us. This is the law of the world. The universe is expanding. The heat death of the universe, is going to happen. Everything has to expand. You have to be constantly growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So in order to keep growing, these corporations have to expand their influence. But the rest of us small fish don't want to get eaten by the big fish. So this is where populism comes from. We want to spread the wealth out and make things more even. So we see somebody's success, and maybe you can call it resentfulness or jealousy or envy or whatever word you want to ascribe to it. But is that bad? Is that wrong that we are mistrustful or like, hey, leave some for the rest of us? That's our attitude towards big successful things, right? So to fight against that, these big organizations have to be sneaky about their manipulations. They can't just show us a thing and say, this is the greatest thing, trust me, because we don't trust them anymore because they're too big, right? They're too big to fail. We know this. You can't be too big. That's the problem with the world, is runaway success. And then, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And it's not right. It's not right. So, in order to keep growing, these large institutions have to do things behind the scenes. They have to manipulate in sneaky ways. I accused Joseph Prusa and Prusa Research of having a man behind a curtain who's trying to manipulate us into loving Joseph Prusa himself, when it's just so obvious, just plain to see by anyone who takes a minute to look into his character, that Joseph Prusa is a deeply unlikable human. So yeah, of course, they're going to come back at me, oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but hey, conspiracies exist. They do. They exist. So here on Prusa's website, you can see they are selling 9,000 printers per month. 9,000 printers per month comes to $6,750,000 if they're only selling Mark III's kits. That's $750 per kit. Now, of course, they've got cheaper printers, the Prusa Mini or whatever, and they sell a lot of filament as well. So the Prusa Mini sales aren't as much. The Mark III is what sells. That is their bread and butter. And I don't think a lot of people are buying pre-made ones. So the kits, but then they drag that average down by selling the Prusa Minis, and you make up for that with the sales of filament too. So I'm gonna say that this is probably a pretty accurate guess. So somewhere between $5 and $10 million per month is what Prusa is raking in. This is a massive company, massive. So don't be fooled by the fact that Joseph will, attack me on Twitter, a tiny little YouTube channel. Prusa sells more printers per month than I get views on my videos. Think about that. So let's talk about alternatives to Prusa, because we all know that Core XY printers are far superior to the bed slingers that Prusa currently sells. Now, of course, there's the Prusa XL forthcoming if it ever shows up, but it's not here yet. So bed slingers are the only thing we get from Prusa. They're not ideal. We can get a rat rig instead. Great. There's several models of rat rig you can buy. How about this BLV MGM Cube? These, there was a lot of these around a few years ago, but now we pretty much just talk about rat rig, Railcore. Remember Railcore? I think they're still around. I just don't hear much about them. You don't get a lot of videos being made. They're probably just a solid performer. People are still buying them, but they're not getting the publicity. They're not getting really sold to us on the internet. Now, how do things get sold to us? Because here I am, I rarely tell you to buy anything, and I'm really just a reviewer. I have no vested interest in whether or not you purchase anything, because there's like nothing that I'm selling. I previously sold a t-shirt or whatever. So yeah, there's other people like me on Twitter, on YouTube or whatever, who are just sort of reviewing. We just want to be glorified consumers and talk about the things that we purchased and, help you guys make good purchase decisions. I'm not trying to make money off of you by selling you something. I'm trying to make money off of you by having you watch my video. So thank you for watching. Click the thumbs up and subscribe or something. I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, so another alternative, of course, the subject of this video is Voron. Now, you can read about the Voron here. It says that they're like this, community thing. And this comes shortly after the vibrant community formed around the project. So that's interesting. Is it organic, or is this a conspiracy? Because in my experience, all movements have leadership. Everything that happens has somebody who's really pushing to make it happen. Now, you can be the CEO of a nonprofit organization and still make millions of dollars per year as your CEO compensation. So it's technically a nonprofit, but you're in it for profit, right? So there's people who have a vested interest in seeing something succeed. And when I've tried to dig into Voron in the past, and I went and asked on Reddit and stuff, I was like, why is there such a push for Voron? Why is there such a crazy, almost toxic community around Voron, just so into it? Case in point, Voron is all about the input shaping. It's so, not Voron, but the, the Clipper firmware that goes with Voron, and input shaping. And they have hyped this up as the biggest, baddest, greatest thing that ever came on 3D printing. Hello, Marlin had it. And also, RepRap firmware with the Duet ecosystem has it. So why is it being sold on only Voron? If this is an open source community, we want things spread around. Open source, back to what I was saying, is about spreading things out. It is about you and me, the everyday man, having access to these things because they're not locked up with patents and all that. So you would think that a community rooted in open source and community would be interested in the fact that this is input shaping is available on multiple platforms. But instead, all you see is this corporate messaging, like we're the only ones who have this. So back to Joseph's tweet about me. Here we can see Nero 3D, and he is laughing at me, right? He's posted a GIF where he's saying it's hilarious because I am a conspiracy theorist, right? So my response to him was, dude, why are you throwing me under the bus here? Why are you making fun of me and joining Team Prusa? Your entire channel is built on Voron, and Voron has done more damage because you're an actual competitor to Prusa. You actually, people will build a Voron instead of buying a Prusa, right? And he responded right here. Here's his response to me, that he's had many meetings, him and several people involved with the Voron team, the Voron team have had meetings with Prusa. There it is. Not even a conspiracy. Nero himself telling us that Voron works with Prusa. This is not a conspiracy. There's the admission right there. So Voron is tied into Prusa. Why would Prusa want to have this other open source thing where they don't make any money associated? Or why would they want to have control over Voron or input into this whole community? And this is where it gets a little bit theory with this conspiracy. So put yourself in Prusa's shoes. Massive company, $10 million a month in sales. And they know what they've got, but it's really hard to spin up the gears to make a new product, to get a whole new factory building, producing parts for a whole new printer, all those kinds of things. So they want to keep selling what they have, and they know the benefits and the drawbacks to what they have. So Prusa's printer is way more complicated than all of the Chinese printers. It took me 9 hours to build my Prusa, and that is probably the 10th, maybe 20th, something like I built a lot of 3D printer kits, right? And I'm considering like kits that you actually assemble all the little pieces, not like these things where you just bolt like the gantry onto the frame or something like that. So actual kits, I've built a ton of them. I know 3D printers, and it took me 9 hours to build a Prusa. It's going to take a newbie a lot longer than that to build. So Prusa is way overcomplicated. Well, you know what the Voron is? Even more so. It takes you days and days to track down this bill of materials. It does not need to be that complicated. Voron printers are like, they seem purposefully, obtuse. It's just, why would they be so many little pieces on a Voron? You can simplify, you can, but Prusa doesn't want you to, because Voron exists as the DIYer for all of us out there who want pride in building something and we want the ultimate thing. Voron is that next thing, but it's meant to be, there's this thing called Decoy Pricing. It's well known in marketing, and basically you have a very expensive version of whatever it is that you're selling sitting on the shelf right next to your reasonably priced one. So what if your reasonably priced one has to kind of increase in price? Like, costs have gone up and inflation's happening. Well, you're going to put a very expensive item next to it so that this price increase, or, you know, this doesn't seem expensive anymore relative, and you're not trying to sell the expensive one. You're literally, and you know, it's always the same brand. You'll see the same brand selling two versions, one that's like wine, think of wine, or you'll see this at the grocery store all the time. So decoy pricing is a thing. So Voron printers are more or less like a decoy priced thing to the Prusa, but the price that you're paying is the time, right? So Prusa takes 9 hours, Voron takes 40 hours. Okay. Suddenly the 9 hours seems reasonable. Yeah. So Voron printers are a part of Prusa's marketing efforts. That's what I'm trying to get into here. And I hope you guys can see that happening. I would love it if you could provide me more thoughts along this line, or more evidence if you guys are seeing it out there. But this is what I've come up with and what I wanted to make the video about. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is Nero himself. I have said nothing but good things about Nero in the past until he threw me under the bus here. This guy's laughing at me. He's just straight up laughing at me, but then he's admitting his own conspiracy. So he's laughing at me for having a conspiracy theory, and then he's admitting that he's part of the conspiracy. This is ridiculous. So let's look at this video here. This is one of Nero's recent videos. And hey, look, he's wearing an apron for 3D printing. Why is he wearing an apron for 3D printing? To answer that question, I want to turn to this great YouTube channel about woodworking, Lincoln Street Woodworks.
If you want to get a lot of weird looks in Home Depot, wear a woodworking apron.
So, are we going to talk about the apron or what?
What, that it's both stylish and functional?
It looks like something a Pinterest influencer would sell to an even more pathetic Pinterest influencer.
Oh, fiddlesticks! I got 3D printer all over me. Now I'm gonna have to throw these clothes away. If only I'd been wearing an apron. And if we go back to Nero's channel, we can see he has almost 40,000 subscribers, and subscriber count is not the best metric for the success of your YouTube channel anymore, but it used to be. And so let's just keep going with it. And in that case, Nero's doing pretty well. You know, I've been at this for about 5 years and he's almost caught up to me. I have no doubt he's going to pass my viewership eventually. Yeah, there's no doubt to me. I've seen lots of people pass, and you know, the reasons for that are what they are. Let's look at this other channel here. This is Chris Warcocky, and he has been a vocal critic of mine in the past. He said, and I quote, "We got you to trend negative on Facebook." I don't know what that means. I have no Facebook presence. So here he and we, whoever we are, back to the conspiracies, we got you to trend negative. So I have been attacked by a group of people trying to hurt my brand, make my channel worse by bad-mouthing me on Facebook, to the point where they were looking at the Facebook trends and they got me into the negative territory where I'm not defending myself. So they're vandalizing my brand, my image, on a platform where I can't even defend myself. This is a group of people. And if you look at what Chris Warcocky does, all of his content revolves around Prusa. Anyway, the point is 6.76 thousand subscribers is what you can expect for success when you are directly advertising for Prusa, when you are advocating and pushing Prusa directly. So clearly this doesn't work. There's so many people who are wise to the fact that Joseph Prusa is not an admirable person, that Prusa printers are overpriced, and blah, 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 blah. So what they have to do is the tricky things where they get somebody like Nero 3D printing to be very successful, to sell you the decoy pricing thing. So now you go, that seems like a lot of work. Maybe I'll just go with a Prusa instead. So there it is. I think Voron printers are an arm of Prusa printers. It explains the weird toxicity and very aggressive tactics that come from the fanboys for Voron. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.